In this episode of MythBusters, it's the magic of movies on trial. You've seen this at the movies before, but can it happen in real life? And remember this scene from the film American Graffiti. We go on patrol with remote control and put Hollywood illusions to the test. Plus, what happens when you use a bullet instead of a fuse?
Did we fire off a bullet?
Who are the MythBusters?
Is my missing an eyebrow?
Adam Savage.
I always enjoyed seeing Adam in pain.
Oh! And Jamie Heineman.
Jamie wants big boom.
Between them, more than 30 years special effects experience.
Still kind of sexy.
They don't just tell the myths.
Farewell, cruel.
They put them to the test. You know a rock band has made it when they get their own private jet. The MythBusters know they've made it when they get to destroy their own private jet. Ladies and gentlemen, please fasten your seatbelts as we test the myth of explosive decompression.
The myth is that if you are in an aircraft at altitude and you poke a tiny hole in the exterior of the plane, will you get sucked out through that hole and potentially cause an explosive decompression?
You mean like in the movies when you see like the whole cabin, like, everyone's like going towards the hole?
That's it.
Cool.
Well, this narrative's been around for years, probably as long as high-altitude flying has been around. This also comes from this, dual fear of flying and guns. Two things that can kill you, two things that you have little control over. So, you see this image enough, and we've probably seen it dozens of times in film. It does become rather real. It's a pretty startling image.
I think most people are thinking about a gun with this myth. And so we're going to have to buy a pistol and put a remote firing mechanism on it, a motor of some sort that we can operate from outside the aircraft so that we don't have to be in there when this happens.
Jamie has bought a 9mm handgun for the experiment. He has a hunch about what he needs to do.
These things are taken out of vending machines for soda, and this is the motor that actually launches the can of soda down out of the reservoir and into the slot.
But this is a troublesome little challenge.
That'll work.
And soon we can't reach Jamie. He is like a myth-busting monk in his trance-like problem-solving state. Then the way becomes clear and the rig takes shape. It's an ingenious device. As the gear finger goes round, it can repeatedly fire the pistol.
Seems like it's working. It fired it.
The MythBusters have taken the first step on a long, difficult journey. The normal cruising altitude of a passenger jet is around 35,000 feet. Humans can't survive at that height, so planes are built to be pressurized. Onboard compressors pump in air to replicate the atmospheric pressure of a lower, more habitable altitude, usually 6,000 to 7,000 feet. It's the difference between the air pressure inside and outside of the plane that creates the environment for an explosive decompression. A hole in the plane will be like a hole in a balloon. The air will try and rush from the area of high pressure, inside, to the area of low pressure, outside.
We've calculated that the differential in pressure between the inside of the aircraft and the outside at altitude is about 8 psi.
To replicate the myth, the boys need to pressurize a plane to 8 pounds per square inch. Adam has found their test subject already, a DC-9 passenger jet.
Actually, this is a plane that's being salvaged. And so they would go into it and pull out all the stuff that they can resell, the avionics, the cockpit windows, the chairs, the bathrooms, and then they'd scrap the rest of it.
It's a big plane though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like over 100 feet long, this thing. It's definitely not small. We're gonna have some fun.
It's a full-size jet airliner.
Yeah.
A full-size jet airliner won't fit in Jamie's workshop. so the workshop goes on the road. This is the Mojave Desert, north of Los Angeles. Out here, low rainfall plus low humidity equals low corrosion, a perfect solution for storing aircraft. This is a giant parking lot for the world's airlines. Most of these planes will fly again. Some will land on the scrap heap.
You know, the more time I spend around planes, the more they absolutely mystify me. I'd be a terrible airplane designer because I'd look at it and I'd go, yeah, like that's ever getting off the ground.
This retired DC-9 once flew for Hawaiian Airlines. Now its wings are clipped, and it's slowly being recycled for parts. But first, it will become the MythBusters Explosive Decompression Laboratory.
When do you ever get to do this? This is so cool. Wow. Oh, that's cool. This is where the pilot sits. So many little doodads and gewgaws and doohickeys. I've always wanted to close one of these.
Trying to pressurize the plane right now would be like trying to inflate a fishing net. There's a few holes that need to be plugged first.
That was an antenna. You can see it was bolted in.
The biggest problem is up here in the cockpit.
You can see there are no windscreens in this plane. This is going to be my task for the next few hours, is cutting out cardboard templates of each of these windows and then make those out of plywood, pop them in and foam them. Hopefully that'll get us the pressure that we want.
Working in the desert heat isn't easy.
We've been crawling through this magnificent DC-9 here, trying to find all of its holes and plug them up, which is not that difficult a task if it wasn't like 105 degrees in the shade.
The people that work on these airplanes here indicate that we're not going to be able to seal this thing up.
We're almost done. We're almost done with this cockpit. Dry to the touch in 60 seconds, set hard in 5 minutes. And over here is what I've previously prepared.
We're actually having some fun working on this. You know, it's interesting to see how these things are built. I'm installing the pressure gauge onto the emergency escape window.
This gauge will be critical during the experiment. Once it reaches 8 pounds per square inch, we know the difference between the pressure inside and outside of the cabin is exactly the same as it would be at 35,000 feet. It will be time to fire the gun. The plane seems to be sealed and ready, so Jamie and Adam put it to the test. To fill something this large with compressed air, you need a big compressor. And they don't get much bigger than this.
Looks like it ought to be able to fly by itself with those big outputs.
Yeah, I know.
This is a huffer. Normally, it's used to start the engines on a 747.
Now on unload, it's just venting all of its air out the roof. And you go to jet start, and it puts every last bit of it into that hose.
Sounds dangerous.
Apparently, if the huffer coupler came off while it was pressurized, it'd pretty much take your head off.
Before there's any huffing and puffing, Jamie gives his signature safety speech.
Signed, sealed. Let's deliver it.
People and equipment are shielded with metal cages and bulletproof plastic.
Clear and keep serious because I've got the thing on and running.
A remote camera is feeding pictures of the pressure gauge to a monitor. Jamie will call out the readings to Adam. The cabin pressure is starting to rise. But the plane is leaking like a sieve.
Guys, we have a problem with pressurization. We're going to fill a few holes that we found some leaks in. So stand by, it'll take about 10 minutes.
Oh, these holes here?
Yeah, each one of those has to be filled. Okay, everybody, the holes are filled. We're good to go. Positions, please.
2 psi, 3, 4, 5, and we're at 6 psi. Then trouble.
What happened?
We've got a blowout on one of the cockpit windows.
Whoa! We got up to 6.5 psi on that. We're within spitting distance of our goal.
But what was that black bag we saw flying over the plane?
Both pilot seats have a plastic bag on them. And this is a very tiny hole, and if a black plastic bag made it past that, that's explosive decompression.
Another quick patch, another try.
The whole piece?
And that's why aircraft windows are built from 3/4-inch bulletproof glass and not plywood and foam. One of the pilot seats was sucked out of the plane and blown over 200 yards away.
Is that...
It was between the one on the fence and the next one in.
Oh my God.
I thought it was a piece
Let's
of
go
plywood.
see Jamie. That's the seat from the pilot's chair.
Yeah.
And that's what's left of the plywood. I'm surprised, and I'm a little concerned.
The cockpit windows are going to take a little more work, but that's a job for tomorrow. Next morning, Adam continues his battle to seal and secure the cockpit windows. Reservations are unusually low for this experimental flight.
Getting kind of tired of lugging Buster around.
Our only passenger has just arrived. A shy, quiet man named Buster.
Come on. You've had one too many. Sit down.
Next, Jamie mounts and aims his 9mm handgun.
You gotta be extra careful with this thing, that it's nice and secure. And after all, it is a remote-controlled gun, and guns can kill people. I'd say that's pretty good. I'm loading the gun. Okay, guys, the gun is loaded.
Foam packing peanuts are spread around to see if they will be sucked out of the plane by explosive decompression.
Let's blow some stuff up.
Okay.
It's earmuffs on, huffer on. As the pressure rises once again, Jamie monitors the gun through a remote camera. We reach 8 pounds per square inch. He activates the remote firing control and shoots a hole in the skin of the jet. The plane doesn't tear open. And apart from a puff of compressed air escaping, nothing dramatic happens.
You know, it did make a hole in the fuselage, and we were at the correct pressure, and I notice our packing peanuts are still in place, and so is Buster. The plane did not explosively decompress.
Yep. Perfect. And just plug that sucker right up. Well, we did it there, little buddy.
Don't call me little buddy. Yeah, you know, we pressurized the DC-9. They said it wasn't possible, and with a little foam and a little ingenuity, I think we did an admirable job here. I'm really pleased with that.
Yeah, it held the pressure, and the gun rig worked, just like clockwork.
The next experiment is to see if a bullet fired at a window will cause it to blow out.
I'm re-aiming and reloading the gun, so nobody walk in front of the plane from now on.
Starting the huffer.
The jet is pressurized. Jamie prepares to recreate the scenario we've seen in many movies, a gun firing inside a plane. Will it cause explosive decompression? Jamie pulls the remote trigger. The gun fires. But nothing happens.
Well, that didn't seem to do much at all, did it?
Dead center in the window, though.
Nicely aimed.
Our high-speed camera shows the bullet's impact with a plastic window, but no reaction from Buster.
The bullet went straight through. Clearly, Buster did not. No explosive decompression here.
I think we definitively showed that a small puncture hole, either in the fuselage or in a window of a plane, is not going to cause the plane to explosively decompress, and you will not be sucked through that little hole.
Well, the myth is definitely busted. Small holes ain't gonna do it. So now it's time to see what happens with a big hole.
Later in the show, we put the explosive in explosive decompression.
Starting the huffer.
MythBusters experiments are meant to be fun. But doing donuts with a remote control cop car? What excuse could they cook up for this? It's a myth called rear axle.
This is really a Hollywood myth that we've got here, you know, busting what's possible in the physical world and what's possible in the Hollywood world. And this comes from a movie in the early 70s called American Graffiti, about kids in the late 50s. And in the movie, one of the actors plays a trick on a cop car. He takes some cable, puts one loop around a pole, and the other end wraps it around the rear axle of a police car. And he takes off in front of the car. And as the police car goes to chase him, reaches the end of the cable, and the rear axle is yanked completely out of the cop car. That's what we've got to duplicate.
When will the fun ever stop? Okay, Adam, how are we gonna do it? What do we need?
Well, it's actually a pretty simple shopping list for this one. We need a police car, we need the materials to make it remote control, we need about 75 feet of cable, a pole to lash it to, and a couple 100 feet of running space.
The police weren't too happy about handing over one of their highway patrol cars. So we've got a Hollywood stunt double, a cop car copy, from top to bottom.
This is the back seat of a cop car with the spaces for your arms to be behind your back. And in fact, when you sit in it like that, you'd find that it's really pretty amazingly comfortable.
Now I know what it'll be like when I finally get arrested.
Now it's rigged for remote control.
Go ahead and gingerly.
Jamie has wrapped his recycling brain around the steering.
This thing is an electric motor off of a wheelchair, and we're going to use that to drive the police car.
It takes a bit of work, but these guys know exactly what they're doing.
Oh, I've got a hot ember on my crotch.
Pretty soon, we're ready to take our police cruiser out to the MythBusters testing range. Our urban legend expert, Heather Joseph Witham, says the story of the rear axle is a reminder of simpler times.
I think the reason people like it now is because it's the hijinks of an earlier era. Nobody gets hurt. It's really funny. It's good, clean fun. It makes you think that there was a more innocent era where you could do things and not go to jail and not worry about the consequences.
This is where we will try and rip the rear axle from our police car. An empty dockyard with plenty of room for Jamie to make sure the car is running properly.
I'm gonna have to get a turn doing that.
Apart from the mustaches, these two haven't changed much since elementary school.
Come on, it's my turn. What, you think I'm getting out of this thing? Not.
He's not as good at it as I am. We could just sit here and do this all day.
All right, back to science. You've got the brake set up so that it fails safe, right? As soon as it would get out of range from you, the brake goes on, right?
Okay, well, we'll try to do that.
A runaway driverless police car is one danger. The other is this steel cable.
My guess is it's going to break, and when that happens, it's going to snap. And when it snaps, it could probably, like, cut somebody in half.
So crew and equipment are tucked into the MythBusters' trusty Lexan safety shelter. The cable will be tied to this telephone pole.
Shall we measure 75 feet from the pole?
Sure.
I'm standing right here at 75 feet.
This is where the cable will end and the chaos will begin.
You think Buster's gonna be our driver?
Well, yeah, I think it's another job for Buster.
You ready, buddy? We got a police uniform for you. It's gonna look like one of the village people.
We've got one more critical check before starting the experiment.
Are you ready for your test, Jimmy?
I'm all set.
Well, let's take it for a spin.
Jamie has to start the car and put it into gear manually. After that, accelerator, steering, and brakes are all in his remote control. But maybe not his complete control. Oh, watch it, Jamie.
Why don't I put it in reverse there, Heine? Did you forget where the brake was?
Can you do a donut, man? Come on, let's do donuts.
We'll see.
Jamie's still getting up to speed. Now, did someone order some donuts?
Watch out for the fire hydrant. Oh, that is sexy. An empty car doing donuts and a police car with its lights flashing. No, I checked. There's nothing more fun than that.
You just know what's coming next.
So can I drive it around a little bit? I won't do donuts, I promise.
It's a delayed thing. You can ruin the car real quick. Okay, so the main thing is the most awkward thing is the brake because it's a delay.
This is Adam and Jamie's childhood dream times 10.
It's a remote control police car with lights.
Be ready to go for the brake. Back to zero.
There you go. That's all I wanted to do. I'm going to assemble the cable. So I'm going to get the cable on the hardware. I'm going to drop it about 4 feet from the pole over here and assemble it.
75 feet of cable, 5/16 of an inch thick. Adam checks for tangles and ties it to the telephone pole.
We're ready to go. I can't wait to see what happens.
Our stunt patrol car rolls into takeoff position.
If you put it in park, shut it down, I'll put on the cable. Here we go.
Adam loops the cable round the rear axle. Just like in the movie, Officer Buster is unaware his car is being tampered with.
Basically, it's around the right side rear axle.
We're wired and ready. But can our cable pull a plug on the rear axle? Find out later in the show.
Okay, Bubba, what do we got?
Well, Thurston, we got a good one today. We got frog gigging.
Frog what?
Frog gigging.
That's hunting frogs to the rest of us.
Apparently, a couple of good old boys on their way back from a late night round of frog gigging, their headlights go out. They determine that it's a blown fuse, and they also determine that a .22 caliber bullet is the perfect replacement for said fuse.
That's clever.
So it would seem, until 20 miles later, the bullet heats up enough to fire and hit the driver in some very private parts, at which point he loses control of his truck, hits a tree off the side of the road. Both guys survived, but the driver needed surgery.
The internet turned this story into an urban myth.
In 1996, an internet story appeared that purported to be from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. The title was True Life Redneck Tale. If you name something that has authority like a newspaper, then that makes it even all the more plausible. Now, in this case, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette got all sorts of flack for this story, and they had to print an article saying that they never printed the original article.
So what do you think we're going to need for this, Jamie?
First thing we've got to do is find a pickup, and it has to have this kind of fuse in it.
The old kind of glass-style fuse that's shaped like a bullet, you mean?
Yeah, that's the one.
Jamie and Adam head off on a hunting trip of their own.
So, Jamie, you're from Indiana. What the hell is frog gigging?
Well, you get a spear and a flashlight, and you go out and you spear frogs with it. I think the flashlight kind of dazes them or something. I used to do it when I was a kid, but it was just for fun.
Did you eat them?
No, it was a mean little teenage boy.
So it was killing.
Killing frogs, yeah.
All right.
This is one of their happiest hunting grounds, the junkyard.
Stop. Bingo, Jamie. We got one.
There are pickups by the truckload, but bagging the right type of fuse facing the right way, well, that isn't as easy as spearing frogs in a pond.
This Mitsubishi appears to have the closest thing out of all the pickups that we've looked at to a fuse that's aimed directly at the driver. I think that's the best we're going to do. I'm going to pull it out.
$5 for a simple antenna. It's electric. That makes 15.
The junkyard junkies were only looking for a fuse box, but it's turned into quite a shopping spree. No one's going home empty-handed.
Well, that's what we need for the show. But this is what I came out with.
The boys have decided to install this retro fuse box from the junkyard into Jamie's old pickup.
Oh, yeah. We're burning rubber now. Hey, baby, you want to ride, huh?
Adam gets to work wiring the circuit, while Jamie rigs up the fuse box.
I pulled this one out, and I'm going to crimp onto that.
And then put it back in?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, here we go. All right, so that's the main feed to the battery.
Yeah.
Battery's hot. Hey, they both worked. All right.
Cool.
These are the .22 caliber bullets used in the Myth. As replacement fuses, they work.
Check this out.
Almost like it was made to fit in the fuse holder.
Yeah, it actually snugs right in there.
All right.
You know, I don't think it'd be that bad of an idea as long as you didn't get a short.
The truck is ready. If the bullet goes off, a high-speed camera will record its path by the microsecond. Time for Buster, our professional crash test dummy, to get behind the wheel. Jamie and Adam will be trying to fire live ammunition here. And taking a hit in the pants from a bullet is one part of the Myth they don't want to recreate. Bulletproof shields go up in front of the truck, and a remote switch is wired to the circuit from a safe distance.
So, we've got our circuit wired up that the headlights go on by themselves through the fuse box. We've got our remote activation switch. I think it's time to put the bullet in the fuse box. Have you got one?
I have a bullet.
All right, here we go. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, this is the first test just with how the bullet does.
With the lights on.
Yeah.
This does prove one part of the Myth. The headlights are on. A bullet will complete the circuit.
They went for 20 miles, which I guess means about 20 minutes. So let me get you an alligator clip. We've got a stopwatch. When it's quarter after.
Yeah.
While the truck goes for an imaginary drive, Adam has a very real nap.
No, with me first. In fact, I'm down here. So Adam, it's been a solid 20 minutes.
Well, given that nothing's happened, I think we could give it another 10 minutes.
Just to be sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a long and utterly uneventful trip home for Buster.
It's been about 30 minutes. I think we're ready to check it out. You want to disconnect and I'll go read the temperature on our bullet?
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Hey, Adam, do it from a distance for...
Yeah. No, I'm not going to put my eye up to it or anything. So I got a temperature off the bullet of about 113 degrees. Nothing real special there.
It gets hotter than that in the summer in a car. And bullets don't often go off that way.
Okay, so what could set that bullet off?
When a fuse blows, there's usually a good reason for it. You know, it just doesn't do it by itself. My guess would be that there would be a short.
So you say we just short right across the bullet from the battery?
Yeah, let's bypass the light bulbs and see whether we can get the bullet to go off, if anything works that well.
A short circuit is when the electricity coursing through the wires of a circuit is diverted to a shorter path, usually one that allows much more current to flow through it. That's when a fuse would normally give way and stop the dangerously high current.
So I'm going to short across the leads of one of the headlights.
We're about to cause a flat short right across the circuit, and that will either heat up the bullet, set off the bullet, or it will fry the wiring.
No matter what, never connect red to black. All right, well, this ought to work. Be a short, I'm pretty sure.
Ready?
Ready when you are.
Should start. Yeah, there's the smoke.
Cool.
Fit?
Yeah, wiring fried. That's a bona fide short. Obviously, you didn't get the bullet hot enough.
There it is.
Let's see. Oh, look at that. That's yummy looking. The next step that I see is to take the heaviest gauge wire that we'd find in a car and run this short again and see if that gets the bullet hot enough.
The heavier wire will carry more heat to the fuse box. But will the bullet get hot enough to fire before the wire fails?
Okay, ready?
Yeah. Hey! Did we fire off a bullet?
We fired off the bullet.
Oh, thank God, that's excellent.
I smell gunpowder.
You smell gunpowder?
I know that smell.
Let's see.
It went off.
Ah, bullet is missing. Oh, look at that. You're loving this. There's the cartridge. It's almost like the cartridge in the bullet exploded like this, and the cartridge went into the rubber mat of the floor, and the bullet seems to have gone that way. We haven't found it yet, but we're gonna do a few more tests, pull the dummy out and take a look at it, see where the bullets went. Jamie, can I try it this time? Can I blow the bullet up? Can I? I'd really like to try.
Shut up and set the bullet off.
This is fun.
Just like clockwork.
Let's do another one. Let's do another one. Okay, give me another one. Here, you grab one, I'll grab the other. We'll do like a Wonder Twins one.
Okay.
There we go. All right, ready. I'm impressed with how fast this works.
Turns out to be a pretty effective way of setting off a bullet. It's not lethal, I don't think.
But you know, the thing is, there was nothing in the myth that said that he took a lethal hit. I mean, I have to say, if I put a bullet in a fuse box and 20 minutes later I hear a bang and I feel something smack into my groin, I'm gonna freak out and run the car right off the road.
Buster has faced the fuse box firing squad 10 times. Let's see if that broadside made a mark. The high-speed camera shows at least one bullet shooting towards Buster's bits. Warped and twisted by the firing, some of the shells also turned into threatening pieces of shrapnel.
I laugh every time I do that.
Jamie takes a closer look and makes a startling discovery.
Ooh, look at that. That wasn't there before. See that? One of those bullets at least shot a hole in his pants. And there's actually there's another bullet hole down here and here.
While those pants are full of holes, Jamie can't find any signs of damage on the dummy's legs or torso.
I don't think that those bullets had enough force to really do anything. I bet if he were a real person, he'd probably have some pretty nasty little bruises. That's about it. Well, we set off quite a few bullets. It worked.
Oh, no, that was a lot of fun. I had no idea that would go off so easily.
Yeah, but we did have to short circuit it. We had to use heavier than the normal wire that was installed in the truck. We had to line up the fuse box in exactly the right position.
No, it's obvious that an extraordinary sequence of events would have to occur for this to happen. But given how easily they went off with heavier than average wiring and the decrepit state of some people's pickup trucks, I still think it's possible that this could happen.
I'd agree, it's possible. Unlikely, but possible.
I'd say myth busted for now, but still out there waiting to happen.
learned in the film American Graffiti. But can the MythBusters do it for real? We've got a remote-controlled police car tied to a telephone pole. Will we remove the rear axle? Let's go.
Everybody ready?
Yep, ready.
Jamie starts the engine and runs to his safe driving post on top of this building.
Okay. Get ready to goose the throttle.
Our police car is off in hot pursuit. The cable whips into one of the cameras. And driving blind, Jamie pulls off a remarkable remote-controlled stop. Inches from disaster.
Your stopping was beautiful.
So it snapped at the pole, huh?
Yeah, it looks like it's dragging the cable. Looks like it snapped at the pole. I think we need a stronger cable.
It turns out the cable hasn't snapped. It's simply come undone.
Yeah, nothing broke. I think the next time we have to either duct tape it or, I brought some of that binder wire.
Yeah, I think we should definitely bind it with wire when we get back there.
Yeah.
Shall we reset the car?
Yeah, everything's fine, fortunately.
I'll tell you when to go, Jamie.
All right. Good, nice, perfect.
The cable actually did what we were afraid it was going to do, and it's actually quite dangerous because it, it whipped way off to the side. It took out one of our high-speed cameras. If a person had been in there in that same position, it would have taken them out as well.
Of course I could have hooked it up better. But just about anybody else would have made the same mistake that I did, don't you think?
This little guy won't be unhooking next time.
Okay, I got some wire, I got a hook, I got a leather jacket I no longer care about. Here we go.
The other end of the cable gets the same treatment. We're calling that first attempt a test run. Nothing was really proved or disproved. This run will be the real deal.
Come on, yeah. Isn't television glamorous? Let's see, 70% that the cable does break, but before it does enough damage to the car we can't do a second test at all. 20% that it actually breaks but doesn't do any damage to the car, we can do a second test, weaken the axle, etc. 10%, it works perfectly, yanks the axle right out of the car. I believe if you add those numbers up, they come to 100%.
We have a remote-controlled police car with its axle tied to a telephone pole by 75 feet of cable. Let's step on the gas. This time the cable really snaps.
That's spectacular. I should point out that the cable has a braking load of 15,000 pounds. I would say right there, that would be myth busted, definitively. Big cable, bigger than even I thought was the one used in the movie. Still snapped. It's a standard Ford chassis, not dissimilar at all from what they had back then. Myth busted.
And what about Adam's bold pre-test predictions?
Yes, okay, so I was off with my percentages. I gave what happened here a 30% chance of happening.
20, in fact.
No, 30. 70%, 20%, 10%. No, that wasn't me. That was somebody else.
That was you.
I said 50, 40, 10. 70%, 20%, 10%. I reject your reality and substitute my own.
Okay, so what's the plan now?
Now, what we do is what we do on every myth. Is first we replicate the circumstances, then we duplicate the results. And actually to do that, we're gonna have to do it like they do it in the movies. I mean, if I had to do this for a film, what I'd do is I'd use a much bigger cable than you see in the film, and I'd weaken the hell out of the axle. I'd take out half of its bolts, or all of its bolts, practically.
Adam gets the job of crawling in the dirt.
Since he's already dirty, he's been kind enough to spare me.
That's how his shirt stays white. I do all the dirty work.
You having any luck, Adam?
Yeah, most of the way through that one.
Adam is slicing through the supports that hold the axle to the car body.
I'm going most of the way through all four of these schmageggies.
Jamie had a visit from the cable guy and scored an upgrade to super size.
This is 5/8 instead of 5/16, and the braking strength of this is approximately 10 times the weight of the car. And I don't think we're going to break this cable.
I'm going to go around the extreme right end of the axle, too. I figure all the leverage action we could get is good for us, don't you think?
I agree.
So I think that's as good a job as we can do. I'm dirty. I'm the 8th dwarf, dirty.
When this cable comes taut, it's going to twist and hopefully torque that differential right off, and the whole thing will come off.
I've taken the oxy torch and I've cut through probably about 75 to 90% of each one of those 4 control arms.
Either we're going to simply stop the car or we're going to break the car.
I think we'll sooner shear the post off at its base than snap this cable.
The car is ready for its final run.
Okay, ready? There we go.
While their relationship has taken a big shakeup, car and axle are still mostly attached.
Something really horrible happened inside that police car just now.
I think she's done for.
Incredibly, the cable snapped at the telephone pole end, but the car won't be driving any further.
This is the coil spring from the rear suspension of the car. It was sitting like 10 feet from the car.
It flattened the tire. This other one is jammed. The tires are in a wheel well, and so even if we had been able to completely remove the thing, they're not going to go very far.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, you can see under there, the trunk is compressed by the impact it took from the axle, and it looks like this entire thing yanked out but had nowhere to go.
So if the MythBusters couldn't pull the axle off, how did they do it in the movie?
I think the key is good pyrotechnics. You know, they somehow blew it.
Yeah. You'd have the rear axle probably on a ramp, so that as soon as it underwent any pressure, it would both go out and under from the car, but it would also raise up the car, which is exactly what it did in the film. So, Jamie, the Hollywood myth, the rear axle. What do you think the verdict is?
Myth is busted. You know, it's just not going to happen by itself, not with anything remotely like the circumstances that you saw in the movie.
Hollywood myth is busted. Buster performed admirably. As usual, though he's a little tired. We're done here. Let's go home.
You're in a jet at 35,000 feet, and there's a hole in the fuselage or a window. What happens? Do you get sucked out in an explosive decompression or not? So far, the MythBusters have shown a bullet hole will have no immediate effect on cabin pressure. The tiny amount of air that can leak out is not enough to cause a rapid decompression.
Well, that didn't seem to do much at all, did it?
But what about a bigger hole? Say, an entire window gets blown out. That's the next phase of our experiment.
So, Boyd, I think we're going to need your help.
Hell yeah.
I think I can solve all your problems.
Boyd is today's guest pyrotechnician. He sets a charge on Buster's window.
Okay, Buster, get ready for a big bang.
We're clear, over.
Our super air compressor, the Huffer, pressurizes the plane to 8 pounds per square inch. The pressure difference between the inside of the plane and the outside is now the same as it would be at 35,000 feet. We're ready to fire. 3, 2, 1.
That was worth it. That was worth everything we went through.
Didn't quite fit through the hole.
Now this is explosive decompression. A hole the size of the window allows a huge rush of air out of the plane, taking with it anything that's not tied down, including our crash test dummy.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks like it's ripped some of his back flesh off there.
Yeah, well, it pulled it all the way out towards the window.
Can we yank this out of here?
Yeah. Buster's having a bad year. Well, he survived really well.
I wouldn't want to be sitting near that window when that happened, but you know, these kind of things that you see in the movies where just like somebody that's standing at the other end of the plane gets pushed out, I don't really think so.
No, however, I would not want to be in this seat. I would imagine that this guy might have lost his arm. That's one sealed window.
Boyd has some explosives left over, so the team decide to see what a really big bang will do.
So, Boyd, what kind of charge is this you're laying now?
This is a 100-grain shape charge that is designed to take the side out of this airplane.
Attention, the charge is laid, the plane is live. We're clearing out, sealing doors, and warming the huffer.
We're back up to pressure and ready for ignition. This blast was a little bigger than expected.
I'm glad we were over there.
Everybody's all right.
Everybody's good.
Everybody's good.
You know, again, it just pays to be really careful with these explosives. Buster may be done for.
Did he? Where is he? No!
Incredibly, Buster is still sitting in his seat, although the next row of seats are now sitting on him.
There it is. There it is. Camera looks okay. Please make sure your tray tables are in the upright and locked position.
The combination of explosives and the high air pressure inside the plane has peeled the entire roof off.
Boy, this is as close as I ever want to come to a scene like this. You know, it's fun to see things blow up sometimes. This is actually kind of disturbing, though. You know, we've all ridden in airlines.
Explosive decompression similar to these experiments have happened in real life. In 1988, Aloha Airlines Flight 243 suffered a spectacular decompression that was blamed on metal fatigue. One flight attendant was killed when she was pulled from the 737 at 24,000 feet. But incredibly, all passengers survived, and the plane was able to make an emergency landing. This incident shows the structural strength of modern aircraft. They can take a big hit and still keep flying. A fact that Adam and Jamie have learned working on their DC-9.
If anything, testing this myth made me feel safer about flying, because it showed that even if somebody fires a bullet through the window that you're sitting at, all you're going to hear is like a rushing sound, but it's not going to destroy the plane at all.
You know, the myth that you can be sucked out a tiny hole is just not true.
It's not going to make the cabin explode or make chairs pile towards the door. It's not going to throw bodies around.
We pierced the window, we pierced the aluminum shell of the airplane. Nothing happened. It might have whistled a little bit. That was it.
Myth busted.
You guys keep bringing in more crap into the shop.
That is not crap. That is a fantastic trophy for your wall from one of the most fun myths we've ever had to bust. Come on.
It was pretty fun.
Yeah.